How much does it cost to live on the beach in Brazil? Well, today as a Brazilian local, I'm gonna break down all of the costs involved with living on one of the coolest islands here in Brazil to see what kind of life you can afford. And spoiler alert, you can definitely afford this one. Let's do this. First, of course, we have to talk about housing, and I'm gonna tell you how much a one-bedroom costs here in a pretty good location, so either near the lagoon, which is where I am now, or near one of the beaches. But first, two quick heads up. The first one is that all of the prices in this video are gonna be in US dollars, so if I forget to mention that at some point, you know it's in dollars. And the second thing is that this is a pretty popular location, so unless you wanna pay gringo prices, you should avoid coming here December through March, which covers, of course, New Year's and Carnaval. But it's also a pretty awesome place to be during that time. So if you don't mind paying a little more expensive than what it usually is around here, I definitely would tell you to come because it's awesome. I've been doing some snooping around on Airbnb, and I know you can definitely find a place for 1 month here in the lagoon area for $500 or less, which is a sweet deal. But if you want a solid recommendation, I would tell you to stay at CASA MARÉ. That's my friend's co-living and co-working space that we're setting up right now. But it's already open for business. We've had like 10 people come through already and the reviews have been great. You can get your own private room in there. And it's just a very chill, well-located house with everything that you need for cooking, sleeping, what be it. So check out CASA MARÉ. I'm gonna leave the link in the description and we would love to see you there. And while we're on the subject of co-working spaces, I've been looking around online and I think you can get a day pass around here for between $8 to $18, and you can get a monthly desk for $72 to about $130. But at CASA MARÉ, we will also have co-working spaces available very soon. And that means you can live and have your co-working space in the same building, which is pretty convenient. Now I'm gonna walk you through some essentials, and if at any moment it seems like I'm reading a list on my iPhone, it's because I am. So you can get some fast home internet for between $15 to $22. You can get a mobile plan. Mine is around 10 gigs per month. That's between $10 to $15. You can get a home cleaning service for between $25 to $55. And we've been doing our laundry at the gas station, and that costs $3.27 just about. But now we also have a washer at CASA MARÉ, so you can definitely wash your clothes there. Let's quickly shift to how much food costs here in Florianopolis, and I'm gonna read you a list of everything basic that you can get at the supermarket for under $2. The first one is a kilo of rice. That's just about $2. Second one, a kilo of beans. Classic dish, Brazilian dish, rice and beans. So you can get a kilo of beans for $1.30. The next one should be interesting to all Americans because it's half of the price of what it is in the US. So you can get a dozen eggs for $2.10. Moving on to a liter of milk, that's just $1. You can get a loaf of bread for $2. A kilo of bananas for $1.33. 1.5 liters of bottled water for 80 cents. And you can buy beer at the supermarket for just about under $1, maybe 80 cents to $1. The one I like drinking, which is more of a pale ale, costs about $1 at the supermarket. Now I'm gonna move on to some mid-tier items at the supermarket, but still very affordable. The first one is a kilo of chicken breast for about $3, 1 kilo of ground beef for $5 to $12, 1 kilo of cheese, like mozzarella cheese, for between $6 to $9, 500 grams of coffee for $7.77. That's also going to get expensive soon in the US with all the tariffs. And 500 milliliters of olive oil for $10. Olive oil is pretty much expensive everywhere these days, am I right? Moving on to how much it costs to eat out here in Florianopolis, because of course you don't want to be cooking at home all of the time, and we do have some delicious local food. I just had a classic Brazilian lunch at a local place. I got it delivered at home and it costs only $5, and some of the plates of food here are huge. So those $5 are going to be for lunch and dinner because I saved some and I'm going to be eating that for dinner as well. So that comes out to $2.50 for each meal today, which is pretty awesome. If you want to have lunch at a local bakery or padaria, as we call them here, that's going to be between $3 to $6. If you want like a burger combo at a sit-down restaurant, that's going to come out to about $10. If you want a piece of street food, that's $2 to $4. If you want a smoothie or a juice, that's $2 to $3. Now, if you're feeling a little cheeky and you want a pint at lunch or dinner, that's going to cost $2 to $3. A cocktail, $5 to $6. If you want a classic Brazilian caipirinha, that's going to be $3.36. And if you want to grab a beer at a beach kiosk or something, that's going to be $3.30. Now let's talk about getting around the island. As I said, if you stay with us at CASA MARÉ, then you can pretty much walk anywhere in the region, of course. But if you want to catch the public bus here one way, that's going to be $1.27. The average Uber ride on the island is $5 to $8. A liter of gasoline is $1.17. If you want to rent a scooter for the day, it's going to be more expensive because it's just for the day, so $10 to $15. If you want to get it per month, that's like $75 to $105 probably. Moving on now to leisure and lifestyle. If you want to get a gym membership here in Floripa, it's $20 to $35 per month. If you want to rent a surfboard, that might cost between $25 to $35 a day. But for the month, you can probably rent it really cheap, like $30 or something. The sandboard costs for an hour $6.50, which I think is an absolute steal. If you want to go to the movies here, it's actually the same price as an hour of sandboarding, so $6.50. I cut my hair recently. If you think it looks pretty good, that was just $8. If you think it looks like absolute crap, you can spend a little more, like $12. There are so many day trips and trails and boat rides and things you can do on this island. So obviously, you can do a lot of these things for free and you don't have to pay for any of them at all. But you can do like a day trip for as low as $7. That's probably like a boat ride around the lagoon or something like that. Or you can do something a little more elaborate, like going to Ilha do Campeche. I do have a video about that if you want to check it out here. That's going to cost you between $22 to $30. And a lot of the live shows and clubs and bars here, if it's a really big night, they might charge you entry. So that might cost you between $3 to $5, but totally worth it. Some great nightlife here in Florianopolis as well. Moving on to some healthcare and pharmacy stuff, and I think this is all pretty cheap as well. If you want to grab some paracetamol, I think a lot of you might not know what that is. It's just like Tylenol in the US. You can get 20 tablets for under $2. You can get 400 milliliters of shampoo for between $2 to $4. Sunscreen is usually pretty expensive. It's going to cost you $12.70. Private doctor's visit is $20 to $50 here. That's pretty good compared to the US, but you can also go to the doctor for free here. You might have to wait a long time, but we do have universal healthcare. You know what I mean? Lastly, if you want to go wild here in Brazil, why not grab some travel health insurance? And I always tell people to get SafetyWing because it's made by nomads for nomads and you can kind of change the plan as you go along. So it's really versatile as well. If you want to grab SafetyWing, I'm going to put a link below, and that might cost you the more basic plan, like $56 for a month. But if you want to include adventure sports, it's just $66. So absolute steal. If I've convinced you to come to Florianopolis today, a one-way ticket from the US, why get a return ticket? Just stay. One-way flight from maybe LA or New York to Floripa is $250 to $500. That's enough to get you here. If you're an American, because of your wonderful president, you're going to have to pay $80.90 to get into Brazil, but that is valid for 10 years and you can stay for 3 months each time. Considering the current state of the world, I think that's a pretty good deal, and I'm happy to be exactly where I am today. Now that I've piqued your interest about Floripa, I want you to see what a typical day is like here on the island. So you can click on one of these videos that you see on your screen, and that's going to give you a good idea of why we call this the Magic Island, Ilha da Magia. So just click on one of these videos, and I'll see you on the next one in 3, 2, 1.